Hey everyone, and a huge welcome to all the Form 4 and Form 5 students joining us today. Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating world of acids, bases, and neutralization. Now, I know that sounds like something locked away in a chemistry lab, but trust me, it is literally everywhere around us.
Just think about your day for a second. Have you tasted the sharp, sour tang of fresh lemon juice recently? Or, brushed your teeth this morning? Maybe you washed your hands with a bar of soap. Or someone you know had to take an antacid for an upset stomach. Well, if you've done any of these super mundane things, guess what? You've already interacted with acids and bases today. They're just a totally inescapable part of our daily routine.
Section 1. Chemistry in daily life.
Section 2. Acids and alkalis, the core definitions.
Okay, so in strict chemistry terms, an acid is a substance that produces hydrogen ions, which we represent as H+, whenever it's dissolved in water. It's actually that exact production of hydrogen ions that gives an acid its unique properties. Now, many safe, edible acids like citric acid in a lemon or acetic acid in vinegar have a really distinct sour taste. But a quick reminder, and this is absolutely crucial, never ever taste unknown chemicals when you're in a laboratory setting.
On the flip side of that coin, we have alkalis. So an alkali is a specific type of base. Specifically, it's a base that dissolves in water. And when it dissolves, it produces hydroxide ions, which we write out as OH-. You're probably incredibly familiar with alkalis already. If you've ever felt that slippery texture of a soap solution, sprayed a common household glass cleaner, or just squeezed toothpaste onto your toothbrush, you are handling an alkaline substance.
So it really all comes down to those ions. Acids are the producers of hydrogen ions, the H+ ions. Alkalis, on the other hand, produce hydroxide ions, the OH- ions. And it's that microscopic contrast that's the invisible engine driving so many of the chemical reactions happening around us every single day.
Section 3. The pH scale and indicators. So how do we measure this stuff? Well, the pH scale is basically our ultimate measuring stick for acidity and alkalinity, and it runs from 0 all the way up to 14. Here's how you read it. Anything that falls below a 7 is considered acidic, and the lower that number goes, the stronger the acid. Right in the dead center, at exactly 7, the substance is neutral, think of pure water. Then anything above a 7 is alkaline. You often see the scale color-coded too. Warm reds and oranges represent acids, green is neutral, and cool blues and purples represent our alkalis.
Since we can't see ions, we use indicators to physically show us these conditions through really obvious color changes. Litmus paper is a classic example. Dip blue litmus paper into an acid, and it turns red. Dip red litmus paper into an alkali, and it turns blue. It's just a brilliant, immediate visual cue that reveals the invisible chemistry hiding right there in the liquid.
Section 4. The neutralization reaction. Now things get really interesting when you combine an acid and an alkali. They don't just mix, they react powerfully. The hydrogen ions from the acid and the hydroxide ions from the alkali combine and they essentially cancel each other out. This process is known as neutralization, and it always produces two very specific things, a salt and water. So the core equation you absolutely need to remember is simple but profound. Acid plus alkali produces salt plus water.
Section 5. Neutralization around us.
Let's think about healthcare for a second. Sometimes the human body produces a bit too much stomach acid, and that leads to a lot of pain and discomfort. So what's the solution? We take an antacid tablet. That medicine is actually an alkali. Once it hits your stomach, a neutralization reaction happens right there inside you. The alkali reacts with the excess stomach acid, producing harmless salt and water, which totally reduces the discomfort. Literally, chemistry bringing relief.
What about your morning hygiene routine? The bacteria naturally living in your mouth produce acids, and those acids are the ultimate enemy of your tooth enamel. They literally attack it. But your toothpaste is specially formulated to be slightly alkaline. So when you brush, sure, you're physically scrubbing your teeth, but you're also kickstarting a chemical neutralization reaction. The alkaline toothpaste neutralizes those harmful bacterial acids, actively protecting your teeth from decay. Pretty cool, right?
And this exact same principle even helps feed the world through agriculture. Sometimes farmland soil becomes way too acidic for crops to survive and grow healthfully. A farmer can't just plant seeds and hope for the best. Instead, they apply lime to their fields. Lime is a highly alkaline substance, so when it mixes with the damp soil, it neutralizes the excess acidity, perfectly balancing the pH of the earth and creating the ideal, healthy conditions for plants to thrive.
Section 6. Safety first and recap. Now there is a huge misconception out there that all acids will burn you and that alkalis, because they're in things like soap, are always perfectly safe. That is absolutely false. You can safely squeeze lemon juice onto your food because it's a weak acid in a very low concentration, but strong laboratory acids can be highly corrosive. Similarly, while hand soap is a safe, weak alkali, strong industrial bases can cause severe chemical burns. Ultimately, safety is dictated by concentration, the chemical's inherent strength, and your safe handling practices. Never ever underestimate the chemicals you're working with. All right, let's lock in everything we've covered today. For our Form 4 and Form 5 students, here are your absolute core takeaways. Acids produce H+ ions and have a pH below 7. Pure, neutral substances sit perfectly at pH 7. Alkalis or bases that dissolve in water produce OH- ions and have a pH above 7. And finally, that magic equation. Neutralization happens when an acid and an alkali react to produce salt and water.